And you're not going to meet those people if you show up and you're not your best, because everyone
Yes.
needs good people. So if you're good,
Yeah.
if you're just dedicated, if you're on time, and if you're conscious, you will get a job. I'll hire them right now.
Yeah, I know. So would I.
Hard. Yeah, it's so hard to find really good people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if they just make that decision that they want to work in this field.
Yeah, and then, you know, one of the things is people hold back and they go, well, I'll look the part or I'll be the part when I get the part. No, you really want to be the part, because when you be the part, you are it.
It's kind of like fake it till you make it.
And people see it and they spot it.
Yes.
And they go, oh yeah, and you're absolutely right about valuable people.
Yes.
And people that are passionate, people that have energy, people that are excited about getting in and doing whatever that is.
Yeah, and whatever it takes to do the bigger vision. They don't care about, let me organize these papers because it's for the bigger vision of the orphanage or whatever.
Always the bigger vision.
Yes, yes. And
you know,
I don't want to do this.
That's one of the things, like,
producer.
even with the Women of Global Change, there are times where there's been slumps and it goes up and down, you know, everything else. And you know what I would do? I'd go sit back and I'd watch those videos. You're in them, Mitch. I'd watch the videos of the kids and I'd watch the videos of what it does.
Yes.
And it would fire me back up. And I tell people that too. I go, if you feel like you're flat, because we're not all up all the time, we just burn out.
Of course.
But if you notice you're starting to feel flat, even in my office, I'll crank the music up and I'll start dancing. And now my team is used to it. But when I first started doing it, they were like, she's at it again. You know, so what is it that fires you up? Is it a certain type of music? Is it a piece of artwork? Is it something that you can have around you that feeds you? Because we're all different.
Absolutely.
We're
For
all
me,
different.
It's travel.
Yeah. And so it's what is it that
someplace,
feeds you, you know, and inspires you to keep moving?
Absolutely. So when was a time you were in a slump, and then how did you get out of it? Kind of like what you're just saying, how you dance and whatever.
Yeah.
If there was a time where you thought, oh, I'm doing this thing, and then everything crashed, what did you do to get back on top? Can you give me one story?
Let's see.
If you were going for something and you thought it was going to work out and it didn't, then you were back at, you know, in the gutter.
I can think of a bunch of those stories, actually. In my lifetime, there's been plenty of times where it kind of crashed and burned, and I felt like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Yes. There's definitely been several times, and I think, you know, I went through a lot with my daughter's father, a real lot, and it was a serious case of domestic violence. I had never dealt with domestic violence before. And I dealt with that with him, and I was broken up, bones were broken and the whole thing. And it was really at a point where, like I said, I had never dealt with it before, and there was part of me that was starting to assimilate some of the things that were being told to me, where I started to think, well, is this me? And I really had to do a shift of self-love. And so I started just really being cognizant of, and especially as a woman, because we do for a lot of other people before that we do for ourselves usually. And so as a woman, I went, I'm really going to make time for myself. Like, I'm going to make sure I take, and this sounds so trivial, but it really made a difference, is I actually was like, I'm going to make my special bath time, and I'd put the music on, and I'd light the candles, and I'd be by myself. It's not like it, you know.
But you're still like, I'm going to just chill.
I just want, it was my time.
Whatever, yes.
I did a lot of journaling. I actually at one point wrote a lot about, well, wait a minute, who am I? And not really my weaknesses, but the strengths. And again, concentrating on what do we have going for us? Because we all have, you know, really, if you compare the two between, you know, what we're grateful for and what we're not grateful for, if you actually weighed it, you know, the grateful would always outweigh the ungrateful. And, you know, so I purposely started tying in, and that's when I started doing like my gratitude stuff in the morning. As I started waking up going, I feel blessed. I have another day to serve on the face of this planet. I feel blessed that I can create my own boundaries of how I perceive things, you know, and it just goes on from there. And so those are some of the things I did, you know, and I trusted. There is this thing of faith.
Yes.
And I think faith is one of the hardest questions that any of us sometimes face.